students. So today we are going to start our seventh chapter of human anatomy and physiology, that is the cardiovascular system. So in cardiovascular system we are going to study about the heart. So cardiovascular system is also known as the circulatory system or the transportation system of the body. So the transportation which occurs is between the heart, blood vessels and the blood, because these three are the major structure of the cardiovascular system. So the heart, which pumps the blood in order to move the nutrients in all over the body, is going to happen when the blood is moving through the blood vessels. But it is not only just giving nutrients to the body, but it is also removing the metabolic waste from the body. Along with this, the oxygen is being also transported into the body. So during this cardiovascular system, as this is the introductory part, we are going to study the systems which are working for the cardiovascular system, that is the pulmonary pathway and the systematic pathway. So the number one structure for the cardiovascular system is heart itself. So the heart, which is a muscular, hollow muscular organ, which beats around 10 lakh times, 1 lakh times a day to pump blood in your body, all over the body, and it travels about 60,000 miles through the blood vessels. So it's a long distance which the blood is taking for the passage and to provide the nutrients and to remove the waste. So for the heart, if we talk about the structure of the heart, there are four chambers which are present in the heart. These are the right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle and left ventricle. So in the lower heart, there will be the right and left ventricle, whereas in the upper heart, there will be the right and left atrium. So in a normal heartbeat, when a normal heart beats, the atria contracts itself while the ventricles will be relaxed. Whereas when the ventricle contracts, then the arteries will be relaxed. So the heart pumping goes on like this, which we say our pulse. So the left and right side of the heart is divided by a septum in between. Okay. So the right atrium receives the blood from the veins and then pump back into the right ventricle. From the right ventricle, it receives the blood from the right atrium and pumps it into the lungs. So the heart is pumping the blood to the lungs after receiving it from the right ventricle, and where it is being loaded with the oxygen. So the left atrium then receives the oxygenated blood from the lungs and then pumps it back to the left ventricle. And the left ventricle, which is the strongest chamber of the heart, received that oxygenated blood and pump it into the rest of the body. So the left ventricle causes a vigorous contraction. It causes a severe contraction which created a blood pressure. So if you are having seen someone with the high blood pressure, that means that the left ventricle of that person is very much in stress, because the more it will be pushing pressure, the more will be the blood pressure. So the layers. Now we talk about the anatomy of the heart. So there will be the three layers which makes up the heart. The number one is endocardium, then the number two is myocardium, and the number three is epicardium. Endocardium is the innermost lining of the heart, myocardium is the middle, whereas the epicardium is the outermost layer of the heart. So the heart layers, which are being composed of connective tissue, endotheliums and several cardiac muscles. So all the cardiac muscles, they helps the heart for its contraction and allows the synchronization between the heart for the heartbeat. Okay, so the heart wall, which are divided into the three portions, as I've already told you, is epicardium, or most commonly known as pericardium. This is the outermost protective layer of the heart, which have a sac on it called having uh, pericardial fluid in it. The next is the myocardium, which is the muscular layer, and the third one is the endocardium, which is the innermost layer of the heart. So the blood vessels, now we will talk about the blood vessels, because the cardiovascular system, as it suggests the name, is incomplete without the blood vessels. So the vessels means something which transports anything, but in the anatomy, the vessels are known as blood vessels, and they are meant for carrying transportation of blood into the body, or I would say throughout the body. Okay, so the blood vessels, they are divided into basically five parts. That is the arteries, the bigger one, and their smaller portions called arterioles. The smallest one, the capillaries, then the venules, which are the smallest, and going on to make up the big vessels called veins. So these are the main arteries and arterioles in our body. Okay, so the arteries, they are the strongest flexible vessels which are carrying the blood from the heart so that it can be transported to all over the body. Okay, how it is it happening? Because the arteries are very elastic in nature. Okay, that is why they can pass the blood, or they can take the blood throughout the body. Okay, and that happens in the body, and the heartbeat, which I was saying to you, is the area when the blood is being passed and the vessels are getting relaxed. That relaxing portion is producing the pulse. Okay, so the arterioles are the smaller branches of the arteries, and the arteries and arterioles both, they have muscular walls which have a diameter to maintain or to adjust for the particular part of the body. So every part have a specific diameter of arteries as well as arterioles. Then comes the capillaries, the smallest blood vessels in our body. Okay, so these are the one which connects both arteries and veins. So you can say the connection between the arteries and the veins are called capillaries. Okay, they are very thin walled, but they allow the oxygen, every type of nutrient, and every type of waste to pass from it to the cell or from the cell. Okay, so next is the venules and the veins. These are the veins which are present in our body. Okay, so again, after the blood has been received by the body, all the nutrients has been passed on to the body when they have traveled through the arteries and arterioles or to the capillaries. After that, the venules or the veins, they receive the blood. Okay, and the veins, which are not that much of thick, I would say they are very thinner than the arteries, and this is because the pressure in the veins is not that much high, that is very low, that can make it to dilate. That dilate means that the veins, they can increase their diameter. Okay, when there is more amount of fluid present in them. Okay, there are so many veins, that is basically in legs, have the walls in them so that the blood should not go back. Okay, it can go forward only. Okay, so next is the nodes which are present in the heart. So the SA node, which is a sinoatrial node, is also a pacemaker. The pacemaker means something which is giving pace to something to move forward. So it is located at the right atrium and gives sparks to the heart so that the next event can be taken place. The AV node is the atrioventricular node which is located back on the wall of the heart, that is between the right atrium and right ventricle. The spark which is being produced by the SA node is then passed on to the AV node, and the next spark from the AV node goes on to the bundle of His. The bundle of His is the septum, the central septum which divides the heart into right and the left part. And finally from the bundle of His, the spark then goes on to the Purkinje fibers. So this electrical charge taken place is going to move throughout the heart in the layer called myocardium, that is the middle muscular layer of the heart. Okay, so this was the introduction for the cardiovascular system. We will meet again with the next topic. Thank you.